based on the complexity of my profession and how diverse my activities are concerned. But I also want to start by also saying that I've also had a little change that this season I don't really showcase most of my travels. But why am I sharing this at the beginning? Because sometimes it's always good that you be a strategist. At every leadership position, when you lose the ability of looking at perspectives as a strategist, you will lose out in every other aspect. I think one key thing I learned from the last speaker who spoke in helping people relating with others is the fact that it's not about the aspect of the words you say. It's not about the yes or the no. It's about the intentionality about the person. And to add to what he said and to answer his question he asked, I think an Oblaja person is an excellent person, even though they have their short sight. But I will say I would prefer to be someone who says a no. And at the end of the day, I do the job than someone who says a yes, and at the end of the day, he don't do the job. I was speaking with I have a lot of bosses, even though I'm at the top. One of them is Engineer Elvis Duruji, who is currently the Deputy Director for NDPRO in Abuja. He was a former the manager of gas operations for asset operations for when they were still under DPRA before PIA changed it. Now, there were times he will give me some tasks or some rules to do, and because I see him as a boss and as a friend and as someone who is always supportive, I will never want to say no to him, no matter the responsibilities he give me. So even when I'm not willing to, I would just feel like accepting yes. But there was a time I was supposed to be in a certain location for a job, for an inspection. I told him I was going to. In my mind, I wanted to delegate that function to someone else. And at the end, I delegated the function. And you might think, yes, I was an amazing individual, or maybe I manage leadership perspective in line with all what we are going to be talking about leadership crisis management. Because at every stage of your life as an individual, you'll be managing crisis and you'll be you will be, in short, there are times, let me just narrate the story, then I'll take you into my presentation briefly. Because at every stage of your life as an individual, whether you are a leader or not, you will be resolving crises either directly or indirectly. So I thought I did a good job that I didn't want to fail my boss. And at the end of the day, after accepting the responsibility of the role, I gave it to someone whom I trusted would do the job well. But my primary wasn't happy. Why? Because he trusted me to do that job, to do that inspection. He didn't, because he has known my personality, even though I know someone who can do the job excellently like me. So what am I saying this? Even though he didn't take mm, take negative oppressions at me, but I had that feeling that I did something wrong because he immediately called my attention to say, no, 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 no. Next time, if you're not going to be there, please tell me. I can reschedule the inspection to a time that is convenient for you. And unfortunately, that was because I was traveling. So let me take you guys through what I will be telling you through as far as the subject matter is concerned. I will put you a little bit through the hook so that you can understand what leadership perspectives are all about and how you deal with them, and in terms of managing crisis and how you can also resolve conflicts. And another thing we will go through is the crisis management and emotional intelligence, which is a key factor, especially when you are in action. And we'll talk about conflict management skills briefly, and then we'll look at the call to action. Now, let's look a little bit at what leadership crisis management and emotional intelligence is all about. And I will understand that. First of all, let me start by explaining something so you guys understand it before I move to the brief part of this session. I want to try as much as possible to make this brief. Now, take note that let me begin even with a scenario. Just imagine that you are the captain of a plane and maybe mid-flight and suddenly both the engines fail. maybe hundreds of lives depends on you. What do you think you will do in the next 90 seconds? I don't know if anyone has an answer. You can drop it in the chat box, or as well as you can just conceive it in your mind. And then maybe through this session, you should be able to relate this key scenario to an answer. Now, for me, I want you to understand that you may not be a pilot, which is true, but life will always throw engine failures at you, whether you like it or not. At every comfort zone, at every strategy zone, at every conflict zone, at every peaceful zone, there are always bound to be engine failures. And why is this important? There is what we call unexpected crisis. Whether you like it or not, this occurs more in relationships. You can have a friend that you communicate excellently with, but just maybe because of a key indices, maybe a scenario whereby you're telling the next party that, oh, please, I based on interest. I don't need to go too far with that. Interest alone is a key and critical concept that will always bring to your doorstep crisis demanding for your management. You can look at them relations, you can look at businesses, even the society. Being a member of the society is enough reasons for you to find yourself in crisis. Now, if I should pose this scenario as a question, I will say the questions will be the question is, will you panic in such a scenario whereby, okay, the plane is about crashing and you're the one who has the key ulterior motive to take? Is it about you being panicked, or you will look for a way out? Now, a lot of individuals find great challenges growing. I'm young, but I believe I've really gone to great depth of places, because not because of my age, but because of the fact that I'm never looking at the opportunities to panic. Wherever there is a challenge, rather for me, I see it as an opportunity. Nigeria as a nation has a lot of challenges. Africa as a continent has a lot of challenges, which means there are great rooms for young minds and young individuals to come up and take up responsibilities. Now I take you into leadership. What is leadership? A lot of young people these days have failed already. I tell you categorically, as an expert and as a professional and someone who is a scholar. I have an MSc and I'm a PhD in view, and that's not just all. I'm well learned in several aspects of life, beside organizations I manage. But I will tell you that African youths have failed before they even began the journey. Do you know why? We don't know what leadership is. People will easily follow people. Let me be realistic, especially with the Gen Z generation, because this presentation is actually for people who are supposed to be members of the next generation. And I must tell you that if this generation conceives its reality as a prerequisite to establish a foundation for the future, then we're not building a future. Because you must be able as a leader to know what leadership is all about and know who you can follow as a leader. Everyone in every location is a leader at every point in time. But the key question is, do you know who you're following as a leader? Because every leader has a leader. Okay, I'm a leader. I have I have a company. My company has almost 25 staff in this thing, Global Tech Energy Services Limited. Anyway, I don't want to talk about our services because it's not the session for that. And I'm also the founder of IGTA International. I have over 100 staffs that are under me. Majority, if I join all the organizations I manage and those that I lead and those that I own, every month I have at least 150 people that are under my payroll that I must make every month. Before I live my life to pay myself, I must first of all account on how I'm going to pay. You know what it means to pay 150 people? You can do the mathematics and you understand how it's already a challenge in itself. So people don't know that growth. The higher you grow, the higher the challenges. That is why growth is a process. And in leadership, you must be able to understand this key concept, the ability of an individual or a group of people to influence. That is where I want to strike your imagination. Today, majority of the leaders we have that are influencing the young people have nothing to show. Have nothing to show. Go and look at them. You people call them influencers. But the truth is, a leader should be someone who has a vision, has a mission, should be able to drive a goal, should be able to drive a purpose. A leader, I didn't even put it here, but let me just say it because majority of what I will say will come from me. It won't even come from what I write down because of how exposed I am. A leader is not someone who thinks only about himself. If you have someone, you see that person as a leader, and all you see in that person is that person's self, then know that that person is not a leader. At any point in time you communicate with a leader, you should be able to see your future as part of that leader. So if you're calling someone, if you're saying, okay, this I'm cling to this person as my leader, or I'm following this person as a mentor, and every time you look at that person's life or that person's progression, there is nothing to it that add to your future, then that person is not your leader. You are in the wrong place. Now, a lot of people, young people, I want to say, and I want to challenge each and every one of you. Look at sessions like this. These are sessions that drive, that that changes narratives. I've over this last month, I've had a lot of sessions, interactive sessions with young minds in the university, in about 5 different universities. And I want to tell you one thing I've experienced. Young people today are all savvy. There is no master who didn't have a master. Every master has a master. And go and look at the trade industry. The people who are doing excellently well, they learn from somebody. Cosmos Maduka, they learn from somebody. Even Dangote, go and look at their history. They adopted from somebody. Go and look at the current president of America, Donald Trump. He adopted from someone, from his parent. Everything he does is a continuation of a project. Now, you will bear with me that there is a great vacancy in our society of today as far as leadership is concerned. So, as a leader, you always have two options to choose: to be a follower or to be a leader. Me, I always prefer a follower because I've seen a lot of people who call themselves leaders, but they are not leaders. Leadership is not seen in action only. Leadership is seen most in the ability of the other individual to be able to empathize with others. A leader who lacks empathy is not a leader. Now, I will turn it around and say, okay, I'm not talking to leaders now. I'm speaking to potential leaders, those who should become leaders. How do you navigate opportunities? How do you take responsibilities? You take responsibilities by identifying loopholes. I expected that from sessions like this, I should see an overflow of young people. People think it is all those things you do online that gives you money. It influencing only gives you popularity. They are key factors that gives you sustainable growth in life. And the reason why I want to say this is based on these key things. Let me tell you what you didn't know about leadership. Now, leadership is not about position. Know this from me today. It's about influence, especially during chaos. If you and I have been able to identify that there is a chaos in our society today because of the loopsidedness of our young people who are only after people who have nothing to offer, but who only care about themselves, then it is an opportunity for you to take on the mantle and say, okay, I'm calling on the young people today to come out and stand up to make a better future. Long gone are the days that young people could take a decision and they'll be united in their decision. Today, a lot of young people are only self-dependent because it's about a show. Leadership is not about a show. Let me tell you one unknown fact that you don't know. During the 2011 Japanese earthquake, go and check. Some of the young students, volunteers, who were those who came out to manage the evacuation centers, they better manage manage that earthquake more than the train officials. It's on record globally, and they were celebrated with high reward and award. They were not the people who were in the position to be celebrated, but they saw an opportunity and they took the initiative to bring about that change. It's left on each and every one of you to look at the society and say, oh, there's a chaos in this area. There is a decadence in this area. I want to be the one to bring the change. I want to be the one to adopt a new generation, or I want to be the one to speak out what is wrong. There must be someone who addresses what is wrong. It's not about focusing on a lot of people expect right from leadership. If the leadership of African nations were right, then some of us will not be where we are. But it is because we have terrible leaders in Africa that some of us have had a voice. If I tell you every week or every month, I have invitations on from left and right, and I have engagements from left and right, and I have in each of my journeys I make, I have a problem to solve. Before I was trying, okay, let me do a lot of show of what I do, but over time I decided that leadership styles, there are some things you should do, there are some things people shouldn't even know you're doing, because if not, you become more of a leader than a follower. Because in areas where you have people that you need to also follow, you'll be lost. So every leader needs to be a follower. In short, the perfect leader is the one who is a servant. And how do you become a servant when you are all when you are already up there? Now, there are two sides of the coins. The other side of, let me even tell you this thing so that I don't forget it, because like I told you, I'll be speaking more from my mind. I started by saying that leadership is not actually about position. I said it's about influence during chaos. Now, I narrowed you guys a scenario whereby you saw young people took responsibilities during a quake. They managed it effectively when they were not the trained personnel for that. Why? Because they saw a vacuum and they came in and they showcased excellence in it. So, key point about leadership is decision, direction, and emotional stability. You should be willing and you should be able to sit from a distance and take a decision. And you must have a direction. That's what kills a lot of young people today. I'm the founder of progragers.org. We currently we have over, anyway, I don't want to talk about the membership strength, but the organization links young people to mentors. And what that means indirectly is that I have young people as mentees under me. I had a mentee who came up to me. I was able to link him with one of the flow stations, and he was employed. And he came to tell me, oh, he needs ASP analysis software. He mentioned about 10 different softwares he needed. I was asking him, okay, why do you need all of these softwares? He said he has heard people saying this software is good, that one is good. If he needs a job, I told him, don't if you continue in this trajectory you just took, you might miss a lot of things. A lot of us these days don't have direction. They will take a if people say, okay, the trend is forex, you see everyone going to forex. If people now say the trend is cybersecurity, even though it's a trend, everyone goes into it. If people now say, oh, the trend is digital marketing, everybody goes into it. If people say, oh, the trend is creating content, everybody goes into it. The key is not going where everybody is going. I always tell people, opportunities are not found in the crowd. Anywhere you see the crowd going, just know that you're not going for opportunities, you are going for competition. So you must be able to, on your own, look at a direction from an angle and say, oh, okay, this is what I want to achieve. So irrespective of whether you are making progress or failure, that remains your key focal point. That remains your goal. That remains your focus. Now, let me take you through what I wanted to talk about: crisis management and emotional intelligence. Now, in crisis management, there is what we call the 10-10-10 rule. Well, let me give you 3 golden rules of crisis management. Because of time, I might not be able to illustrate a lot to you guys, but I will try as much as possible to summarize. There's what we call the 10-10 rule in crisis management. And the 10-10 rule in crisis management is that in the first 10 minutes, don't react emotionally. You saw when the first speaker spoke, he talked about what category did he talked about the obligers. And obligers, they are amazing people in the society, but a lot of them only find themselves, they know the reality only when it is late, because obligers will always put people before themselves, those that have known in reality. Now, please kindly mute your microphone. And this is key indices, which you must know. The 10 rules in conflict management. Always give yourself 10 minutes, no matter what, no matter how aggrieved you are. At work, it's better you left feeling, oh, I would have reacted to this way, than you react in the wrong way, or you react in a catastrophic way. Now, why is this important? Now, in the first 10 minutes, don't react emotionally. The highest you should do is you should ask what decision will this matter in 10, maybe in 10 months or in 10 years. So if I should say something, how would that thing look at in 10 years, in 10 months? So if I should do something today, what would that thing look at in the next 10 years or in the next 10 months? It is from these key questions that I do a lot of the things I do. If you ask me where I'll be in 10 months, I will tell you. If you ask me where I'll be in 10 years, I will tell you, because I have a goal. So if you bring in something else as a distraction and tell me I have a lot of friends who are in high places, and you come and tell me, oh, I just bought a land in real estate, lands are not cheap in so and so place. That's why I'm no, 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 no. Before I choose wisely. And before I choose carefully. Every direction has a unique potential. If you channel half of your energy, you will not get that potential out of it. It's like mining a gold. You think it's not about participating in the process. It's about completing the process. People are doing this. You just came in a hurry, thinking you want to make it. Then the next moment you are out. You will find yourself lost in the ocean. The next key thing you need to know is the fact that information is oxygen. It's one of the three golden rules of crisis management. People don't panic because of bad news. Take note. People panic because of no news. Leadership must communicate early and often. I've had people that they say they're leaders, but you don't see how the consistency is not there. You must be able to come. The moment as a leader you stop communicating, you have stopped being a leader. So it is key that at every place and every position and every aspect of your life, you are communicating some information. I would say Rufus is an excellent guy, and I've seen that in several ways and in several aspects. And all I can tell him is keep it up. And to each and every one of you who is on this call, this is part of a journey. Do you know why it's part of a journey? The people you are listening to, they are not people they are not people who are occupying benches or chairs. They are people I've looked at the flyer and I'm amazed at the people I see there. Now, when you listen to people who are leading organizations or who have had successful careers, you are not just listening to stories. In short, this could be what did you people say I should talk on? Okay, leadership, crisis management, and emotional intelligence, building crisis management and conflict resolution skills. You might think, oh, this is just a topic. It's not a topic, it's the person behind the topic, just like every other topic. Just like you could listen from the first speaker. I saw a lot of personal illustrations and a lot of I saw the reality of what I always tell people that experience is key. It's not about the message. That is why over 1 million times I would choose to listen to a successful individual than listen to someone who is in a classroom. You're teaching me about Pythagoras theorem. What do I need Pythagoras theorem for? I want to learn from someone who is making progress in life. Theories don't solve problems. Creative minds solve problems. And each time you see people that have gone through process and progress, always create an avenue to listen to them. Unknown to them, sometimes they might not tell you the true stories, but you will get the depth or you will get the tip of the iceberg of how they navigate their journeys. And I've had opportunities that I was just like you, and it was from some of those opportunities that today I am where I am. Now, the last aspect on terms of crisis management is the key issue where we always say that failing to rehearse is rehearsing to fail. The field of people and conflict transformation. I'm an expert in that. I'm trained. I'm sure I'm undergoing training in international mediatorship. I've been doing that for 4 years now. It's a 7 years program international to become an international mediator. So you must understand that knowledge doesn't have an ending point. It should rather be more of a continuum. Always interested in growth and always interested in getting higher than the previous level where you find yourself. Let me even ask you a question. Are you aware that during the Apollo crisis, the Apollo 13 crisis, it wasn't just the astronauts that were interested in it, but the engineers on the ground were also part of it. They led by solving the oxygen problem. So what am I saying? Each time there's a problem and they say, oh, it's COVID-19, and then they'll say, oh, no, we need just essential workers to be out. You also need to find yourself a place in every crisis, whether you are trained, qualified or not. Your desire and passion to be able to be part of problem solving is what will make you dominate your equals. It's even what will make you be on the global perspective if you decide or if you desire that you want to be a public figure. So you must be willing and interested to be part and parcel of every chaos or every crisis in the society. If young people are protesting in the street, your focus should not just be, okay, if I'm protesting, why should I follow them and protest? Your focus should be, okay, how do I do this in a way that people will understand what they are trying to do? So they could be carrying placards. Then you choose to do your own by maybe doing posters and moving all around and pasting them on doors or moving them. I was in Footbridge Federal University of Petroleum Resources. They had a program, Academy Summit. And I told them if I want a revolution, as an individual, I will lead the revolution and that revolution will be successful. I don't need a team. I don't need to be I don't need to be a follower to communicate the message. Do you know why? Every leader must have the ability to lead as an individual. If I want to pass a message, I will, and in leading, I'm talking of you should be willing to make sacrifices. I can choose if I say, okay, I'm not comfortable with the leadership in Nigeria. I can use that as an initiative for everybody to hear my voice and they will know me. I will start printing stickers. Everywhere I go, I will move around throwing them. Abuja, I will do the same thing. Lagos, I will do the same thing. Port Harcourt, I will do the same thing. Kano, I will do the same thing. Maiduguri, I will do the same thing. And I'm not doing it because I want a change or I want to be noticed. I'm doing it because if I'm doing it, that means I've had enough of it. And that means, that is leadership. Because when you have had enough of something, you will follow that thing to the later ending. Even if it will take you 10 years, I will not stop. Even if it will take you 100 years, I will be happy to die doing it. But do you know the difference? Even when you die, people will question. There was someone who used to move around doing this, doing that. Where is that person? In death, you'll be celebrated. That is why people who live for nothing have nothing to be remembered for. There are some people who just live. Oh, okay, they're eating food. They go and eat. Okay, they should take breakfast in the morning. Breakfast is designed for morning, after lunch, afternoon, evening, dinner, or supper. And that is how they live their life. You should be an individual who should say, if I'm taking breakfast, why should I take breakfast now in the morning? Is it ideal? Someone who has worked million is taking breakfast early by 7 a.m. You are not even working. 8 a.m. You are not even working. You are waking up to take breakfast to go and sleep. And you are happy. You shouldn't be happy. You should be the summary is you should be able to question the morality of everything you do. Let me just even talk a bit on emotional intelligence before because it's key. Now, take note that, let me ask you a question. Is there anyone who can, anyway, because of time, I might not ask that, but can you explain emotional intelligence in a way that feels maybe fresh, in a way that you feel that, okay, to me, this is what I feel emotional intelligence is? This is a question that if we ask, many people might not be able to relate to this. Every concept must be relatable. Yeah, Rufus, you want to say something, you can speak.
Emotional intelligence actually has to do with how we deal with things, how we respond to things. It's also how we react when some situations happen around us and our response to them, if they are green or they are red. Think so.
Excellent. Excellent. That is an excellent. Let me just summarize from all you have said. Emotional intelligence is the ability to control your emotions so you can guide others through theirs. You get the point? People are, I'm saying this because I'm trying to be as much as real as possible. I took a scenario that people were moving doing a protest. And did you just go and join the protest? Someone who understands what emotional intelligence is will first of all interpret in his own mind and be sure and 100% accurate about it as a solution. And he will now, okay, how do I guide others through this? You must know what you want, and then you know how you go about guiding others. Now, let me break it into three. Also, take note, let me say this before I forget. A lot of people always want to showcase intelligence over emotions. Please never do that. Your emotional quotient should always be greater than your intelligence quotient. If you see someone that all the person showcases is intelligence, just know that that person is not designed for success or is not designed for growth. It's a key factor, whether you like it or not. Now, if I break those two, those three quick skills, you will realize that as far as emotional intelligence is concerned, self-awareness must be involved, empathy must be involved, and regulation. You should be able to regulate. It's not everything you react to. Oh, the food crisis in the country. You just move around, start saying, "I'm not happy. I want food. Prices should come back to status quo." People, that is why you see our society has a lot of problems and a lot of critics, but no solution, because nobody is interested in the regulation, understanding the subject matter, and looking for ways to provide solutions. Now, let me tell you a fact that you'll be surprised. Are you aware that studies show that 70% of airplane crashes involve miscommunication, not mechanical failures? This is the truth. This is the truth, which is often due to ego or probably emotional mismanagement. People will always not tell you this. Intelligence is less as far as conflict management is concerned. The emotional aspect comes first and it is at the top of it. Now, let's round it up at the conflict management skills that you're supposed to know. Let me tell you, there's what we call the ACE. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the word ACE. What we call the ACE. Now, ACE, if please kindly mute. Okay, thank you. Now, let's talk about the ACE as far as conflict management skills is concerned. I told you guys, the S is a method, AC. The A stands for acknowledge, C stands for clarify, E stands for empower. And what this means is you should always show your head the other side. That means you should be able to show that I understand this matter. Each time there is a conflict, you should be able to show the other person you understand what the person is feeling, you understand what he is going through, you understand what he is trying to communicate, even if you are just in the process of trying to understand. And another key aspect is clarity. Ask questions. Don't assume you know. I didn't say ask, lay down accusations. A lot of people do accusations. I say ask questions. So if somebody is communicating, if you have a conflict situation with somebody, you're asking questions. Oh, I don't know. Oh, you feel like this. Oh, you wanted this to have been done like this. Oh, you're not happy. We are doing this thing this way. Oh, you're not happy. This is what is going on. Ask questions. Ask questions. That is the clarity aspect. And also seek for empowerment. Empower. This involves them involving helping people to look for solutions. So if you see people going through something, it's not just about coming to ask, oh, what's going on? And then you are not helping them look for a solution. What is the essence? You come and ask me, what happened? And then I'm not seeing you helping me look for a solution. Then tomorrow, if you come to seek solution, to seek clarity from any challenges I've had, I might not be able to guide you to get whatever you need to do. Now, let me end this now because I don't want to take much of your time. Now, in terms of all what we have discussed thus far, we have made great milestones, and in all the milestones we have made, all I can tell you is remember the feeling airplane we started at the beginning of this training. What that means is that in life, crises are guaranteed. You have crisis in your bank account. You withdraw, you don't withdraw, you will always be giving your own fair share of it. The only variable that is most important is your response. And my final takeaway to each and every one of you is that as far as leadership is involved, calm influence in chaos remains the top priority. As far as crisis management is involved, preparation plus quick thinking plus communication is key. As far as emotional intelligence is concerned, mastering yourself so you can guide others and not judge them remain the top priority for you. So I think we can end this with a challenge that I want to give to you, that from today, don't wait for a title to practice leadership. The next time maybe conflict arises in any environment, or maybe in your school, in your family, in your community, the first question you should ask yourself, will I add to the fire, or will I be the one who will bring calm to it? This should become your focus, and it should also become the path through which you follow and take an ending. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. And I hope this session was of great value to you. So if there's any question, I can respond to them now before we leave.
Okay, sorry, I was speaking. I thought I was unmuted. Thank you so much, sir. I really, really appreciate all that you've shared tonight. It has actually been a great one. Conflict management and crisis resolution. You talked about the A's. I think it's one of the things that stood out for me most in this session. Acknowledgement, acknowledging people's challenges, the difficulty they are going through, and also gaining clarity. Where you emphasize on communication before, which is a very key aspect in leadership and in also crisis management. And you also talked about empowerment. So I want to say thank you so much for tonight's session, sir. So, and we say God will bless and increase you mightily. So over, we'll be going straight to a question and answer session. If you know you have question, kindly unmute your mic and ask a question. If you don't have a question, I myself will call everyone out. Let's share what we've actually gained tonight. So if you have a question, just signify by raising up your hand, or you can unmute, then ask your question. If you've been in a challenge and you discover that this situation, you couldn't solve it in a particular direction or a method you knew, and you had to involve someone else, and you would want to gain clarity so that next time you'll be able to manage that situation, feel free to ask your questions, raise your hands up and answer your questions. Ask your questions rather. Okay, for the next 30 seconds, if there are no questions, I am calling, and also we can share what we've actually gained tonight. All right, so thank you so much. I guess there are no questions. So you can Let me start with Abdulrazak. If you can hear me, please kindly unmute and share what you've gained from tonight's session. Abdulrazak, can you hear me? Abdulrazak, can you hear me? If Abdulrazak is not there, Grace, over to you now. While Usman Hassan will be coming up next after Grace. Grace, if you can hear me, you can share what you've learned tonight. Yeah, can you hear me? All right, it seems I, I can't really tell what the problem is. So, Ali Usman, if you can hear me, unmute and share what you've actually learned tonight from our session. I want to believe we are close. Usman, can you hear me? All right. It seems they aren't really close, or maybe they are in a noisy environment. Oh, thank you so much.
Hello, I
Okay,
can hear
great.
you. Hello.
Okay, yeah. Can you share what you've actually gained from tonight's session?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Kindly share what you gained from tonight's session. If you don't have any question, share your take home from tonight's session. Can you hear me? All right, I guess where he is a bit noisy, so probably that's why he's unable to communicate. All right, thank you so much. You are welcome, Abdullahi Umar. But unfortunately, you actually came late. But the fortunate thing is that you can still get the recording. The link will be shared to every one of us, so we can go back and learn from our speakers today has actually talked about. I want to say thank you so much. And before we go further, I want to acknowledge our hosts and our sponsors, rather, talking about Echo Origin, the podcast studio, the Law Minds, and the Law Hub, and also Tribe Africa. And lastly, Xavier Gadgets. Thank you so much for identifying with Impact Community to make sure that we impact the next generation of leaders. And this is the second to the last day of the training session. So tomorrow by 5 p.m. we'll be having a panel session where every one of us will be hearing from scholars and different people from various industries. We'll also be asking questions. Tomorrow is just basically question and answer session for every one of us. We'll be having speakers from University of Abuja, Federal University of Technology, Mina, the CEO of Eco Origin, and also the CEO of the Law Minds, Barrister Ayo Deji. So do well to keep the date and keep the time tomorrow by 5 p.m. Let's have a wonderful time. So if you're online, I don't know if you can still turn on your camera, if you can hear me, as we take a little selfie. But if you can't, just signify by the raise of your hands as we say the closing prayer. Abdullah, can you hear me so you can pray for us? Hello, Abdullah. Okay, Abdullah. Okay, all right. So you can pray for us. Abdullah, you can pray for us. Can you hear me, Abdullah? Hello, Abdullah. If you can hear me, kindly pray for us. So we'll call this session a wrap for tonight. You are muted. Okay, okay. Yeah, Abdullah, over to you. You can pray now. Unmute and pray. I've given you the permission to unmute. You can unmute now and pray for us. We can't hear you. We can't hear you.